Michael, you spent 2 seasons with the Patriots, so I feel like you may have a good take on this. What should they do with Garoppolo?
Well, the first thing they're not going to do is ask anybody, because when you're trying to trade a player, the last thing you want to do is set the bar. I mean, that's the last thing you want to do. We're going to ask for 2 number ones. Once you set the bar, it's coming down. So that's like 101 negotiation. That's the violation of it right there. What the Patriots are going to do is play the casual game. They're going to sit there and say, look, we have him under a rookie contract for next season. And if we wanted to, we have a franchise tag that we could utilize. And the Patriots have a lot of cap room. Remember, this team has 30 players first time on the team. It's a very young team. They have some older players that add to the age of the team. But for the most part, this is a really young football team that can transcend itself going future. So what they're going to do is they're going to say, look, we have a quarterback, and we'll franchise them if we have to. Nobody is going to make them blink. Trust me, Belichick is not blinking, one of the master poker players of all time. So he's going to sit there and say, I'll be willing to listen to what you have to offer, but I'm never going to put myself out there and say, I want 2 number ones for Jimmy Garoppolo. The greatest thing they have going for him now is the new CBA, which used to be, when I first started in the league, you had to tender a player a restricted contract. So you either had to put a first-round tender or a third-round tender. Because Jimmy signed a 4-year contract as a rookie, there's no tender. So he never has to set the market or set the bar for what the value is. So Belichick just sits there. He's got a 39-year Hall of Fame quarterback who looks like he's really about 32 right now. And he waits and hears what the offers are. And once it gets to the point where it becomes, we should do this, then I think that's when you'll see them become proactive.
I just get leery. What is he worth? All depends on the team that wants him. Obviously, the Houston Texans thought Brock Osweiler
I was just going to go right there.
$18 million. I'm just leery of watching backups play behind great quarterbacks, and we automatically assume they're going to be great. Because for every Joe Montana and Brett Favre situation where you get a Steve Young and Aaron Rodgers, you get guys that come from behind Brady.
It's so funny you bring up Steve Young. I was at the 49ers. Coach Walsh sent me to the airport to go pick up Steve Young, okay? Now, we're on Undisputed. This is undisputed fact here, okay? When I went to the airport to go pick him up, every coach in that building told me to make sure I missed the flight. Nobody was in favor of trading for Steve Young because they thought it was going to hurt the chemistry of the team. Now, understanding it was more about their love for Joe Montana.
Right.
So it was clearly, and when I picked up Steve, he came in and he was a little, he wore heels, he wore boots. And everybody, well, I see how short he is, he can't play quarterback. Because remember, there was a time where Steve Young couldn't play quarterback. He was just a running back.
Right.
So I think the situation is always hard to bring in the backup in because nobody really wants to accept him because they have such great love for this. This situation is way different. They love Jimmy on that team.
Right.
They love him on the team. And what we learned from Mike Holmgren and Ron Wolf in Green Bay is if you take a quarterback, whether it's Mark Brunell, Matt Hasselbeck, and they play good, the value goes way up.
Aaron Brooks.
So the key question here is, how much longer will Tom Brady play at the highest level? I'm going 5 years.
Stop.
I'm going that Tom Brady's going to make 40 the new 30 for NFL quarterbacks.
I could pull out my phone and from a text from Tom, he thinks he's going to go to 2025.
Okay, there you go. But I'm just saying 5 years, and you're saying that's too many. If it's true, and again, we can't predict injury. Who knows what could happen? But as far as just being capable of at playing at that highest level, I'm going 5 years. So if I'm Belichick right now, I'm waiting to see what the offers, as you say, you don't want to set the bar, but if somebody did offer me 2 first-round picks for Jimmy G right now,
Can you tell him that's not going to happen?
Oh, I think it's definitely going to happen.
Hey,
2 first rounds.
I think you're going to look
Yes,
at there's an old thing back in the day, and I'm way older than everybody here, but there used to think the Lawrence Welk trade, a 1, a 2, and a 3. Okay, well, I think he's going to get the Lawrence Welk trade. I think they're going to get more than the Lawrence Welk trade for Jimmy G if they put him out there. Because, look, you talked about Brock Osweiler. It's supply and demand. I mean, we're not Adam Smith here talking economics. I mean, this is true supply and demand. There are no quarterbacks. If Brock Osweiler is worth $18 million and Jared Goff is worth a houseboat for all that, the fact to find, again, I'm going to bring up a Cowboy, but to get lucky with Dak Prescott in the 4th round is not usually going to happen.
Or Russell Wilson in the 3rd.
Or Russell Wilson in the 3rd. Those are
Tom
anomalies.
Brady in the 6th.
Those are anomalies.
Yes.
So when you're a desperate team, there's a great saying, sometimes I can't tell my courage from my desperation. Some teams think they're being courageous by giving a lot away, but they're really being desperate.
Yes.
Yep, I agree.
So I think that's why he's in
Shannon
the perfect
Sharpe,
spot.
if in fact Tom Brady can play at this level for 5 more years, and you could have 2 first-rounders going into next draft to buttress him with high-quality help, maybe offensive line help, why wouldn't you do it?
I say Tom's got 2 years.
Well, you thought he didn't have 2 more games. You thought he was going to be rusty at
No.
Cleveland.
I give him 2 years. I give him 2 years.
I would say,
Careful.
I would say typically, I would think that would be, but Tom is just like, he scrambled the other day. And he ran, I think, better
He
than-
walked. That was a brisk walk, Mark.
But it was a better walk than I've seen him walk in a long time. I really have. And I think you can't tell any deficiency.
He had
in
fresh
his-
legs. Fresh legs.
Oh.
What did they say?
Look, I told you this, when he was over in Capri, he was working out every single day. I love that fresh leg stuff. He was working out every day. You don't have fresh legs, and you haven't played in how long?
No.
But you work out every day,
Old
right?
legs.
But you work out every day.
I train, Michael.
Yeah, that's right.
Skip works out. Jenny works out.
Yep.
But there's something to say about the way Tom Brady takes care of his body,
Correct.
his fitness, his food. I mean, just in reading about the way he eats, he
I
doesn't
agree.
drink
And it's not even,
all
and
that.
it's not phony because I've been around him, and the food he eats. No, it's
Father Time.
It's all the things that he says. I mean, it's not phony at all.
Father Time is undefeated, and one thing that he has, you can take him to overtime, Michael, but he has an unlimited supply
And I
of
think
timeouts.
you're right. And I think that's why Belichick will sit there and play poker and wait because something could happen to Tom, whether it's an injury, and now he's sitting in the perfect position. Because if he reacts quickly and takes the first thing, and then 2 weeks later something happens, everybody says, "Why would you get rid of Tom? Why would you get rid of?"
Well, he's
Jimmy
not
G?"
getting rid of Garoppolo this year. And I think if you say you believe he can play 3 more years, Skip says it's 5. I split the difference. Say this year, next year he can still play at a nice level. I'm not getting rid of Garoppolo this year. I'm bringing him back even next year.
Well, under your sequence, then you got to keep him, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if
Oh,
it's just
absolutely.
2 more
Yeah,
years.
you wouldn't trade him.
No.
You wouldn't trade him.
No. Because I don't want to have to relearn someone this system. I know he knows it. I know he can run it effectively.
You could sit and make a list right now. Chicago needs a quarterback. I mean, there's so many teams that need quarterbacks. You're sitting there, and the competition.
Cleveland,
Well, yeah.
Texans.
And that's the problem. And this is one of the rules I've always had being an executive in the league. You never want to sign a player that the next day you still need the position covered. That's like the biggest. So when the Texans signed Brock Osweiler, they still needed a quarterback.
Yeah.
And let me give you a little nugget. Tom Savage, before the end of this year, will end up being thought of in Houston as a guy that they think can play because Tom Savage is somebody they drafted, they like.
He
fits
likes
this-
him. The coach likes
The
him.
coach really
Loves
likes him.
Yeah.
And I think it was a little bit like John Elway. I think that they had to do it, but they didn't have enough confidence in Savage that he could do it.
Yeah. And look, every once in a while, you'll get a quarterback in free agency. And think about the quarterbacks in free agency that's panned out. They were damaged goods.
Right.
Drew Brees, he was damaged good. Peyton Manning was damaged
Nick
good.
Saban would still be the head coach of the Miami Dolphins today if Drew Brees is on their team.
Exactly. So you getting these healthy quarterbacks like, oh, they're young, they're going to do, and none of them have panned out. But you look at the damaged ones, the Brees and the Manning, they
Shannon,
went.
remember when you started singing about going home?
Yeah.
Well, Tom Brady, he's going home Sunday. Home debut against the Bengals. So we'll see what he brings. Michael,
They
thank you
gonna
so
hang
much for
50 on
joining
somebody.
us. As always.